Hello, welcome to this channel. My name is Janet. I'm working through the King James's Bible. Today I am in the book of Samuel, book 2, working through two chapters today, chapter 18 and chapter 19. So if you've been watching the previous video, you will know that there has been a build-up to a war between King David and the newly king appointed by the Israelites, King Absalom, his son. Now David has fled Jerusalem because the majority of the Israelites wanted Absalom. They fell for him, his charm, and they are now following his orders as opposed to David. David is now in the wilderness, he is building up men and strength, and this is where chapter 18 starts. So David has his men stay in Ammon, and this is where they are growing in strength and mind. They are ready to take on the battle. So he starts getting his troops in order, and he divides them into three groups with a captain each. So the first group has Job, his nephew, who has been his chief commander throughout. He is the captain of one team. Team 2, the captain of that one is the Itati, which was the loyal foreigner who had just joined David when he went into exile. Because he is such a faithful, loyal servant, he is also a captain of the second team. And the final team is Abishana, and that's Job's nephew. He's going to be running the third team. Now the people, because they know that the king is the most precious to the Israelites on killing him, they decide he shouldn't go to war. You know, you are worth 10,000 of us, they say, so you stay here, we're going to wage war. So he says, okay, but one thing I want you to make sure is do not harm my son Absalom. That must not happen. Don't kill him, kind of thing. And they all hear this order and go out to battle. Now they end up in the woods of Ephraim. This is where the battle starts. And a lot of them are killed there because it is pretty wild out there. You know, there's trees, there's brambles. There must have been all kinds, because it says more men were killed by the forest than they were actually killed by the sword. Now during this battle, Absalom gets caught. He gets almost trapped and he tries to escape, and he's on a mule. And he's got quite long hair. And his hair gets entangled in this oak tree and he ends up hanging from it while his mule carries on moving. Now one of Job's men sees him and he reports it back to Job. And Job says, why didn't you just kill him? I would have given you silver and also a belt, meaning he would have given him like a higher rank in his army. But the guy says, no, you know, I heard what the king said. He said, do not touch his son, so I'm not doing anything like it. So Job gets 3 spears and he plunges them into Absalom's body. Now he hits him, but he misses his heart, so he's still alive. And then 10 men from Job's tribe end up killing him. They throw more at him and Absalom is killed. At this point, the war is over, so Job blows the trumpet because the main man is dead. They then get Absalom and they put him in a hole and they cover him with stones. And on hearing this trumpet, Israel, the whole army that was out there, they flee and leave and run towards their tents. And we hear in this chapter that although Absalom won't have a memorial for him, we find out that he's actually made a monument in the King's Valley and he's named it Absalom's Monument. Now we go back to Job and he sends a messenger to let King David know what's happened in the battle, and he sends Cushi. Now Ahimaaz, he wanted to go also, so he goes running afterwards, and Ahimaaz is the fastest runner, so he outruns Cushi. He gets to the king first and he lets him know, you know, the war has been won. And David's wanting to know, is his son still alive? But he doesn't tell him. But Cushi, he comes in afterwards and he relays the full story, and he finds out that his son has been killed during the battle. And so David just weeps. And this closes chapter 18. Now, as we open chapter 19, David is in such sorrow and grief. He's mourning, he's weeping, so much so that the people around him hear and witness it. Now, Job, he becomes angry. It's like, you're crying. Why are you crying? We've just gone out to battle and we've won this war. We've saved all of these Israelites. They would have died under your son, and yet you're grieving him more than your own people? Pull yourself together. So David, although he's mournful, and he's been going, Absalom, Absalom, kind of thing, he sort of kind of doesn't really want to, but there's that other part of him that's thinking, yeah, I'm king, I gotta show my people, I've gotta act like king. And so David sort of gets himself together and he pulls forth the priests Zadok and Abitha and says to them, why haven't you welcomed me back as king? Where's the welcome kind of thing? It's like they're very sort of, the people aren't sure, they're in this bit of having a debate what to do, whether to bring him back. And the people in his own tribe, he assumed, would have got him into place and taken him back to his palace. So they get themselves together and they start taking the king across that Jordan River towards his homeland in Jerusalem. And at this point he starts speaking to those who were against him. He talks to the people who were opposed to him and had gone on to his son's side. And one man includes Saul, the King Saul's grandson. He was Jonathan. Remember, we spoke yesterday about him. He was the one whose servant had come on a donkey and brought all of this stuff, and he'd slandered his name basically. He'd said that he was waiting back in Jerusalem to take the king's place. He wanted that, but that wasn't true. He was a very humble man. He was not good on his feet. He couldn't have really left. And so he explains all of this to David, and one thing David doesn't do with these people who opposed him, he does not banish them and he does not kill them. Now on this journey back, he sees the man Barazilia, and he was in Gilead. He's a Gileadite. And he wants him to come with him because he'd been so supportive. He was the one who'd offered him lots of food and resources, and he wants to basically reward him for that and have him come over to Jerusalem and live like a king with him. But he's like 80 years old and he's like, no, I'm too old now. I want to stay in my homeland. I want to die here, but I'd love you to take my son over there with you. His son is called Chimham. So his son goes with him across to Jerusalem. Now David, as he is approaching back to Jerusalem, the tribes start arguing, the 10 tribes and the tribe of Judah. They think they have more rights over David because there's more of them, whereas Judah think, no, we are his next of kin, we are the ones, and because they've got the loudest voice, they stand tall in what they've said. So this closes chapter 19. We've gone from having war, we've lost Absalom, the son, he's now dead. King David is now coming back towards his territory, his palace, and we've got conflict again within the tribes. So we are moving into different quarters. Is there going to be more civil unrest as we move into chapter 20? Well, if you want to know, follow on because I'll be sharing more of these stories in the next video. So thank you for watching and I hope to see you again soon. Take care now. Bye.